What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down what's happening with the economic calendar moving forward, talk about how things are looking for the market moving forward as we have important earnings coming out for the week, not to mention FOMC, and also what the news is saying about Tesla with the new update that's coming out. But let me just mention that I am not a financial planner. Make sure you take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link. Deposit $100 and you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. Deposit $1,000 and you're guaranteed 15 in total. And the offer ends in just about 3 days from now. Anyways, for Tesla, I just wanted to mention that so far we're holding up quite decently. We do have potential to push a little higher if we manage to break past the key resistance. So I'm going to break down what that resistance is and how Tesla's looking, in my opinion, alongside the markets in just a couple of minutes. Just notes that for tomorrow, okay, we might not have too much data coming out, but later on for the week, especially between Tuesday and Friday, we have quite a bit coming out. So tomorrow is going to be Monday, July 29th, 2024. We're at the final week of trading for the month of July of 2024. And just notes that at 10 o'clock a.m. or 10:30 a.m., excuse me, Eastern Standard Time, we have the Dallas Fed Manufacturing Index coming out, very, very minor data. At 11:30 a.m., we have the 3-month and 6-month bill auctions. Once again, all very, very minor. There's not really a whole lot coming out for tomorrow on the data side. But for Tuesday, we have the JOLTS job openings and job quits coming out, so get ready for volatility then. And then Wednesday is going to be a crazy day as we have Jerome Powell giving a speech, the FOMC meeting, and the rate hike slash pause decision, whatever the Fed wants to end up doing. The market's expecting the Fed to keep rates the same, of course, kind of like pause and not really do much. But things could shift, at least moving forward, if we end up getting a big announcement from the Fed, if they imply there's going to be a rate cut coming, because that's what's making a lot of headlines right now. That's what everyone's waiting for. When are we going to get the rate cut? What kind of hints does the Fed give? If they do give us any hints, the market's going to see a very, very volatile move. So get ready for all of that, at least for now. Now, for earnings, this is going to be another big factor. I just want to remind you guys that for the week, okay, this is what the whole calendar looks like, but just focus on it Tuesday and Thursday for now. Tuesday through Thursday is going to be very, very important. On Tuesday, we have SoFi and PayPal, not to mention AMD and Microsoft announcing earnings. Expect a crazy reaction on Wednesday because of AMD and Microsoft. Then, after the market closes on Wednesday, we have Meta and ARM. This will also cause a big reaction on Thursday, depending on what we end up seeing from Meta, especially. And then for Thursday, after the market closes, we have Amazon, Apple, and Intel, not to mention Coinbase. And we're going to be looking for a big reaction on Friday. So the market's going to be very crazy from Tuesday through Friday with all these big earnings coming out. Can't wait to see what all of this ends up leading to. Now, for Monday, which is tomorrow, we just have McDonald's before the market opens, then very, very minor ones like Phillips, not to mention Sprouts. There's nothing too crazy coming out for tomorrow. So we'll just have to see how things go. But just remember, Tuesday through Thursday will be the biggest specific days for earnings. And then we'll be looking for big reactions between Tuesday and Friday. For more data, just notes that right now the market is shifted. So now the fear and greed index is at neutral because we start to see some buyers defend on Friday. Well, it wasn't really that crazy, so it's not really enough to get us, far into neutral, far into the greed. We're actually very, very close to fear still, so we'll have to see if the market shifts or not. Momentum is neutral, so this tells us that we're not necessarily losing our 125 daily moving average, nor are we, way above it. We're in the middle right now. The market is not extremely bearish or not extremely bullish. We're just kind of stuck right now. So this means you have to be very, very careful when it comes to biases. Don't be overly bullish or overly bearish quite yet. We have to wait and see what the reactions are, especially for many indices. And on top of this, the puts and call option positioning is going up. Fear is making up the majority of sentiment. If this were to fail, if this were to at least continue to go higher, this would actually cause a big shift right now. Will this cause the market to fail? We'll have to wait and see. But right now, we're starting to see a lot more put buying. Volatility is also quite fearful as we're seeing a lot more, bears continue to step in. But we're going to be watching for a big shift in the VIX if it ends up happening. I'll talk more about that in just a couple of minutes. For a few more things about Tesla, just note that right now inventory levels for Tesla are going up a little bit. We did see some price shifts, at least for them. But moving forward, I'm not too worried about this quite yet. I would worry more about this towards the end of the next quarter. For now, we're just seeing a little bit less sales. I would say maybe they could be slowing down just a little bit for now. We'll see if anything shifts later on. This is completely normal right after the end of a quarter, right after the end of June. Completely normal. So it's not looking like July is as strong, but then typically we get stronger numbers, especially in September. So we'll see how things go by then. There's also some big news coming out that Tesla's confirming that the Cybertruck's range extender has to be mounted by service. This is some very, very important news. So basically, when Tesla unveiled the production version of the Cybertruck last year, many were not, people had different opinions about the range and the pricing. Now Tesla's basically saying that it will make a range extender available for the Cybertruck, but for the extra battery, it has to sit in the truck's bed, taking about a third of the bed's space. Now, that's not the best of news because I'm sure a lot of people would want the entire bed. They want to use it for a lot of different things. So if they do have the range extender, that could increase the range by over 100 miles. So for the dual motor Cybertruck, it would go from 340 to 470 miles, and the Cyberbeast will go from 320 to 440 miles if they end up doing that. The extender will cost about $16,000. But one thing that is a little bit more positive is the fact that there's the possibility that the owner could install and remove the range extender. It might be very, very difficult to do that considering how heavy it may be, but we'll see how it goes. But if this ends up happening, I mean, if some people don't really want to use the Cybertruck just solely for storage space, they could consider doing this. If not, it may not be worth it. It's their choice. But I just want to make it very, very clear that it does increase the range a lot, and this could be very, very useful for a lot of people. Depends on what they want to do, but I just want to call that out. For other factors, I just want to mention that Tesla has another update coming out. Now they could listen to over 100 million songs ad free with YouTube Premium. That's going to be incorporated as well. Not to mention the fact that there's going to be a lot more changes right over here about how Tesla's end up reacting to traffic lights and stop sign control. It's basically not going to require explicit driver confirmation to continue straight through an intersection for green traffic lights when there's a lead vehicle ahead of you. So the autopilot is now confident that you are not in the turn only lane, and it's going to have a lot better visualization aspects. On top of this, there's going to be a lot more changes to the speed limits, how it now leverages the cameras to detect speed limit signs to improve accuracy of the speed limit data. Also, there's Amazon Music. That's also going to be incorporated as well. Very, very cool stuff. Another option. They also have more demos that could be replaced over there, which has very, very cool challenges for people out there who want to play games. So very cool stuff for people who are trying to charge their Teslas, if they're sitting in their car doing something like that. And also, there's parental controls with a pin for the vehicle. You could also set a maximum speed limit and limit acceleration to chill. Turn on safety features. So very, very cool stuff. And then there's more things about weather forecasts and stuff which are going to be like incorporated. So very, very cool stuff in this update. Very good for music. Very, very cool for improvements in the self-driving features. I'm very excited for what else Tesla has to unveil. FSD is not perfect, but it's making a lot of improvements on a daily basis. Can't wait to see how things go for the future. For volume, we had 94 million, a little bit below average as Tesla's just range bound. Short volume is kind of stuck. And then Argus Research gave Tesla a buy rating. KGI Securities gave them a neutral rating. Price risk ratio is kind of flat. And then Mondays tend to be green around 53% of the time, which is a pretty positive note for Tesla. So we'll see how things go. Anyways, guys, that's it from all my data. I don't want to like focus too much on data at this point. Now I'm just going to focus on the charts. I know that's what a lot of you guys have been waiting for. So how is Tesla looking? The answer is right now Tesla's quite range bound, going back and forth between supply and demand. We have supply right here. We're seeing some buyers defending 215 and 212, and we have a tendency of getting rejected off 225. It's going to be a tough resistance. Now, what I like about Tesla is the fact that we have a nice inverse head and shoulders like structure. We're seeing buyers defending it quite well over there. And this is favoring that we have a low here. This little liquidity grab happened, pushed up, made a higher low, and then we may continue to push up towards 225. That's looking more probable to me. On the 4-hour time frame, also Tesla's looking a little bit more bullish. This is favoring upside. So Tesla is looking like it wants to push up to at least 225 again, in my opinion. So in my opinion, okay, if we break 225, look for 232. If we end up losing 215, look for 212. If that fails us, we turn bearish. But this setup is favoring upside a little bit more. It favors 225 to be tested. I predict that's going to happen. And we'll have to see what kind of reaction we get. Do we reject like we did the last two times? Or do we break in and go up to the 230s? That's what I'm going to be watching for. This favors upside nonetheless. For SPY or SPY, we have a nice double bottom like structure forming a nice W. If we break past 546, we'll be looking for a push all the way up towards 550, or if not 552. If we lose 542, look for a dip for 539. In my personal opinion, I am favoring upside. I think that there's a good chance this is going to try to push a little bit higher as we approach earnings with some hype. And I partly say this because of other setups. I went over this over the weekend, but this is favoring that tomorrow there could be a little dip that comes before it tries to continue higher. Look for a retest of 546. If that breaks, and as long as we hold up at 542, I'll be looking for the 550s to be coming. This is favoring upside. For ES, we're also favoring upside. We've got a nice bullish structure. We're just trying to push right over here. If we break 55.25, we'll be looking for 55.60 almost. And if we end up losing support at 54.80, I'll be looking for a dip back down into the mid 5400s, but this is favoring upside in my personal opinion. ES is looking pretty good. For SPX, we're looking pretty decent. We have a nice double bottom structure. If we break past almost 5500, maybe a little bit under that, we could be looking for this gap fill all the way up towards 5550. And we end up losing support all the way down here towards the 5425 area, we could be dipping back down to 5400, and we turn a little bit more bearish. With this double bottom in favor upside, I think 5500 would likely break, and I think there's a good chance we try to fill this gap. SPX technically is favoring upside a little bit more. For Nvda, I like the structure of a nice accumulation structure, but the issue is that we are very tight right now. If it breaks 116, we'll be looking for 118, then 121. If we lose to 112, we'll be dipping back down. With ARM's earnings, I'm hoping that we see a break of 116. I think it's looking a little bit more favorable, but I need to see confirmation of a break first. Otherwise, we're still kind of range bound. We'll see if we break 116 or not. I'm optimistic, so we're going to hope for the best. Bitcoin got some bullish news thanks to former President Trump. This is now favoring some more upside. I think we're going to be going all the way up to the 70,000s for Bitcoin. I think there's going to be another push coming after the bullish news and the bullish setup that's developing. For NQ, I like the structure because when you look at this, okay, it's very simple. We're trading around a trend line. This was resistance. This became resistance right here. Then it became support after we broke through this. Then it became support again as we're bouncing off of this. And now we're testing our 50 EMA around 19,250. This is favoring a push for at least 19,400 in my opinion. If we reject, we could be coming back down towards the lower 19,000s, but I'm favoring upside for at least 19,400 a little bit more. The QQQ also has a nice accumulation structure. However, we're getting very, very tight right now. I want to see it break past 466. If that breaks, we'll be looking for the 470s. This is favoring upside, so watch 468 and 472 as resistance. I think that if we get above 466, look for upside. But as of right now, it's kind of like weaker compared to SPY. We're just kind of consolidating. So, we're not really seeing a whole lot else that's going on, but we'll have to see if this could break structure at 466. This favors upside a bit more, so we'll see if that ends up being the case. For Aapl is getting tighter. It's very, very tight. If it breaks 220, we'll be looking for a push into the mid 220s. If we lose 216, we could be looking for 214. As of right now, we're just shuffling, going back and forth, getting tighter and tighter. But we have to watch to see if we can break 220. Watch for it as we approach earnings. There's a good chance it might try to push a bit. So we'll wait and see. Now, let me go over a few more very, very quickly. I know time is limited. So Palantir is trying to push up here. We have a bullish wedge that's forming. This is favoring the 28s, and 28.5. We look bullish on the 1 hour time frame for Palantir. For Supermicro, I just want to say that right now we have a nice kind of like inverse head and shoulders like structure. This is also favoring the upside. I think there's a good chance that this is forming an accumulation. If we break past resistance right here, we'll be pushing higher. So I think when you look at the 4 hour time frame, we could be pushing for the 730 to 740 area. So I favor upside a little bit more. And I think that with this liquidity grab, we could continue to push from here. Supermicro is looking a little bit more bullish, so watch for that. For Rivian right here is, in my personal opinion, it's kind of starting to downtrend, but it depends if we hold structure at 16. It might retest 16, but we'll have to see if we bounce or not. It's kind of flat right now. I think we might touch 16 and we'll see if we bounce because as you guys can see, we're kind of forming wicks here. We're trying to hold around this support. So if we do hold it, I'll be looking for a rebound back up to 16.8. So watch and see how we end up reacting. Be very, very patient and we'll see how things go. For SoFi, the 4 hour is once again showing some life. There's a little bit of an accumulation right here. If we end up losing 7.36, we'll be looking for this push back down towards 7.26. If we bounce off this, we'll be looking for push back up towards 7.66. It looks symmetrical, so I think it might try to push a little higher, dip a bit, then start pushing for the 7.6s. It looks a little bit more bullish to me. For the IWM Russell 2000, we're looking very bullish on the 4 hour now. We did dip a bit only to get a nice rebound. I was concerned about that gap only for us to get bought back up. So now it's favoring, in my opinion, 227 and eventually the 230s. I think we're going to break these highs. It looks very bullish to me. The Russell 2000 and the small caps are running. They look very strong in my opinion. AMD is not looking that great. It's kind of like trading sideways. I am seeing a little bit of potential for it to push into about the 142s, but it's not looking that great. I'm not really liking this. It's kind of flat right now. So look for a push for 142 tomorrow. It looks more favorable to me. For ARM is not looking that great. It's kind of flat right now. When you look at the 1 hour time frame, it's just consolidating, so it may continue to consolidate. I want to see it break above 150 and hold that to be looking for a push for at least 154. And if 154 breaks, we'll be looking for 158. As of right now, we got this liquidity grab, and there is potential for some upside. So I'll have to see if that ends up being the case. But if we end up losing 145, we'll be dipping back down. My guts tells me we'll be looking for the 150 area to be tested and possibly broken. Not liking the setup though, so I'm not really going to play ARM as much. For Coinbase, we have a very, very nice looking structure. We got this liquidity grab down here where this wick is, and we're forming a nice inverse head and shoulders. I think that this is an accumulation. We're going to be looking for a break of 244. We're going to test that. If that breaks, look for 250. If we lose 240, we'll be looking for a dip back down to 236. In my personal opinion, I think this is favoring upside the setup, especially on the 4 hour. This looks primed, so I think it might be pushing for the 250s. For Amazon, we're looking more bullish. I like the setup on Amazon on the 4 hour. It actually looks very, very good. If we break 184, we need to break 184, and we'll be looking for like 187, 188. For the 1 hour time frame, there's also this accumulation right here. Looks bullish to me. If we break 184, look for a break for 187 plus. If we reject and lose 182, look for 180. And then if that fails us, we turn bearish. This looks more bullish. It looks like it wants to be pushing back up. I love the setup. It looks very, very nice. Same thing with Meta. Very, very nice setup. If we break past 470, I'll be looking for about 474, then eventually almost 480. If we lose support at 450, I think we'll be dipping back down to fill the gap. I favor upside for Meta and Amazon. For Microsoft, we have a nice bottoming structure right over here, forming a double bottom. If we got to break past 430, if we break that, I'll be looking for 435. If we end up losing 424, look for a dip back down towards 420. This is favoring that it wants to be testing at least 427. If that breaks, look for 430. And if we break that, we turn even more bullish. So I see a little bit more upside potential with this double bottom. It has more potential, in my opinion. Google's not looking as great as Microsoft or the others, kind of lackluster. It's technically forming a nice accumulation structure. We got to hold above 167.5 to 168. As long as we hold above that, there's some potential building. If we lose 166, we turn bearish. My gut tells me it's going to kind of consolidate for a bit and maybe try to push. Maybe we'll just have to wait and see on that, but it has some potential. I'm not really liking GameStop's setup here. It might rebound a bit, retest 24.4. If we get a big rejection, we could be looking for a move back down to the 23s. But if we break past 24.4 and eventually 24.8, there'll be a big push going to the 25s. So look for a little push. We'll have to see if you reject or not on GameStop. The setup is not that great. I'm not seeing myself playing that. AMC, not it's just kind of consolidating. It might dip a little bit towards 5.11. If it bounces, we could actually continue higher for 5.5 plus. If we lose 5.08, we're going to be dipping. Technically, the setup is decent. I'd say it's actually kind of decent. There's potential for upside, but look for a little dip first to see if we get a bounce for that upside move. DJT is trying to rebound, testing the 50 EMA at 31.5 as resistance. If that breaks, look for 33. It's forming a nice bullish wedge, so it favors at the least 33. So I favor upside a little bit more. The VIX concerns me. It's looking a little bit more bearish with this bearish wedge. This is favoring a move back down. It might be dipping back down towards the 15s. This is favoring upside for SPY, the S&P 500, and etc. For the 10-year Treasury yield, we're dipping a little bit. This is also favoring upside for the markets. And the dollar is indecisive. It's been shopping around a lot. The medium term is showing that the dollar has an inverse head and shoulders. That could actually lead to potentially even more downside for the markets if we break past 104.6. But at the same time, I mean, if we end up rejecting because of a possible head and shoulders for the shorter term, we got to lose like the 104 area, and this is going to turn more bearish, and this will be bullish for the markets. So there's a bullish and a bearish setup. It's hard for me to tell because all we're doing is just consolidating right now. If the dollar loses 104, that's going to be bullish for the stock market. If the dollar breaks 104.6, that's going to be bearish for the stock market, for S&P 500, Tesla, and others. We'll just have to wait and see. It's just continuing to consolidate. It's kind of indecisive approaching Jerome Powell, FOMC, and earnings. So we'll just have to wait and see how it goes. But for now, guys, it looks like the market wants to rebound a bit. I think Tesla's going to attempt to rebound to at least 225. I see potential in the setup, so we'll see how things go. And we'll be very, very patient in the process. All right. Now, I'm not saying it's going to squeeze to new highs or anything like that. I just see a little push coming to around 225, and we'll see if Tesla breaks that or not. With that being said, I want to thank you all so much for listening. I hope you guys have a great rest of your Sunday. Enjoy your evening. Enjoy your day wherever you are around the world. And I'll see you guys very, very soon on the next one. I'll see you tomorrow morning, by the way, before the market opens. So until then, enjoy the weekend. Thank you all so much for listening. I really appreciate you guys so much. And peace out.